Digital glitches, one after the next.
We're continuing to follow breaking news right now. United Airlines has grounded planes nationwide.
Right now here at the New York Stock Exchange, trading has suddenly been halted.
This is what you see when you try to go to the Wall Street Journal website.
First, United Airlines grounding its fleet worldwide. Planes at a standstill for more than an hour due to a computer problem. Next, at 11:32 a.m., trading halted at the New York Stock Exchange.
Business has stopped here at the New York Stock Exchange.
The epicenter of the financial universe, issuing a statement. We're currently experiencing a technical issue that we're working to resolve as quickly as possible. By noon, the Wall Street Journal Online had a problem. A 504 error message greeted visitors to the journal's homepage. So, were they all connected? It doesn't look that way.
At the present moment, we have no indication that any of these glitches are connected, other than it just being a very bad day.
The Department of Homeland Security tells CNN there are no signs of malicious activity, at least when it comes to the NYSE and United Airlines. United says it was a failure of equipment, a router that went bad. It fixed the router and things got back to normal, if you can call it that. Airline experts say this morning's glitch is causing backups that could ripple into tomorrow. The NYSE says the trading halt was a technical issue, not a cyber breach. But it raises serious questions about the system's vulnerability, just like 2010's flash crash, which pushed $1 trillion in equity into a free fall in a matter of seconds, before rebounding moments later.
I would imagine people are trying to affect these systems constantly. What these glitches kind of illustrate is that their technology is not, in fact, bulletproof. The New York Stock Exchange and United Airlines and other carriers or operators of this caliber are going to be vulnerable to anyone who's willing to spend enough money to get vulnerabilities that will affect them.
Even if these technical glitches are just that, the cost of doing business in the modern era, the public's trust is at stake. Lori Siegel, CNN Money, New York.
There you go. That is from CNN. Now, I find it rather coincidental that, you have the United Airlines going down. You have the Wall Street Journal. You have the New York Stock Exchange. All three computer systems going down at virtually the same time. I don't buy the coincidence. All right. When you look at United Airlines, they went out, they found out that there was a router problem, they fixed it, away you go. But is this the true story? Or is there a story behind the story? Joining me now is our technical guru, the one and only Corey K. www.exonetechzone.com. And Corey, as a security, as a computer expert yourself, what do you read into what happened today?
Well, Rob, it's nice to be back. As far as today's events go, it does look like we have a series of coincidences on the surface, but I'm going to tell you how they're related and how it actually is related to hacking in some way.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned earlier, as far as the United Airlines outage went, they are saying that it was due to a faulty router, and it's a little strange, but ever since United and Continental have merged, they have actually, this isn't the first time that they've had an outage. They had one in 2012.
Right.
So you would think by now that they would have built in some sort of redundancy into their routers. There are products out there where you can set one router as your main router and another as your backup. So to have a kind of failure like this either tells me that they didn't have that kind of redundancy system in place, or it was one of those rare cases that I actually have seen before, but it's pretty rare, where you have the backup router fail, and since you're not monitoring that one, then when your primary router fails, poof, you really have no backup. So it's kind of scary that it can happen to such a major airline.
Yeah.
But here's something that hasn't been explored yet. It is at least possible that this router glitch was caused by a software update, And the reason this is related to hacking is because if you have companies that are very security conscious, we actually can't afford to wait to update anymore. There are so many hacks in the wild, so many vulnerabilities, that there's a lot of pressure now to update as soon as you can, issue these security patches as soon as you can, and the companies don't always take the time to really test out these updates. They test them on some level, but oftentimes the test environments, they're not similar enough to the real environment to really give them a good indication of what's going on. So as a result of all the cyber attacks that have happened in the last few years, maybe this is a case where the company kind of rushed to update because they were fearful of what might happen.
I have another theory here. I believe, maybe I've just been doing this show too long, Corey, and the conspiracy theorists have finally got to me. But I believe that there's more to this than meets the eye, that there was a lot of fast-footed shuffling going on when this happened. Because when you look at United Airlines, the New York Stock Exchange, and the Wall Street Journal, all right, you take United Airlines out of the mix for now, just for now. You've got the New York Stock Exchange and the Wall Street Journal, both heavily involved with the finances of the United States. And if anyone could hack, or if it was learned that there was a cyber attack on the New York Stock Exchange, what would that do to the financial structure of the United States? It would be devastated. So,
yeah, panic.
Exactly. So I believe, based on what you and I have talked about in the last couple of months, the different hacking, the hacking of the government, the hacking of the retail stores, the hacking of home hardware, and so on and so forth, Corey, that this was, in fact, an attack on the United States electronically that has been covered up. Now, here you've got a real cover-up, I believe. You know, let's leave UFOs, Bigfoot, and the Loch Ness monster out of this conversation. But I believe that there was an attack and that it has been covered up to secure the financial stability of the U.S.
I am not going to discount that at all. And it's interesting that United Airlines was the victim here for a lot of reasons. On the one hand, United Airlines could have been targeted because their security infrastructure was weaker than the other airlines. But it is interesting that United Airlines was also involved in the September 11th attacks. And
right.
It just so happens, I wasn't able to find a lot of information. I tried to call the United Airlines Network Operations Center earlier, and no one would really talk to me about this. But I did find out that the United Airlines router, their main routers, are in the former Sears Tower in Chicago, which is a major financial center. And it's just too curious that it was United Airlines, the NYSE, and the Wall Street Journal of all things. I mean, for all of that to happen on the same day, it is really interesting.
I believe in coincidence, but I do not believe that this was coincidental. I really do not believe that all this could happen at the same time to these three mega corporations, whether it was a hack attempt from the Soviet Union or from China or from even ISIS. You know, the worst thing that anyone could do today, based on the fact that it was the New York Stock Exchange that was one of the three targets, was make a connection. And I found it very ironic that Homeland Security was very fast to say, no, it has nothing to do with a terrorist attack or hacking. It was too fast.
It was. I mean, they responded very rapidly to this. And I think it's just like you said, they don't want to panic on their hands. Now, it's interesting also, the New York Stock Exchange attack, that was also due to a software update. And I'm assuming at this point that the United did have some sort of backup mechanism, and it was after they applied a software update that this router failed. That remains to be seen. But with the New York Stock Exchange, there was a software update issue involved. So once again, even if there wasn't a cover-up,
it shows it shows flaws in the system.
It shows the fear. The companies rushed to update this software, and it ended up causing problems. But they updated their software to help, in part, avoid an attack. But it went awry. And then the Wall Street Journal, it's unrelated to the other two, but in some ways it is related, because you had this major outage on the New York Stock Exchange, and then as a result of that, you probably had a lot of people going to the Wall Street Journal to find out more information, and they couldn't handle all that traffic, and poof, that went down. But those are the official explanations for all three of these events. But I could offer a worst case scenario for the listeners. If this is a cover-up, you could have had what's called a denial of service attack against all three of these targets at once. They would be three very different types of attacks. With the Wall Street Journal webpage going down, you would have, I guess, more of a classic denial of service attack, where you just flood the website with so many requests that it just shuts down. So you could have had that. With the New York Stock Exchange, you could have put malicious software into that software update. You could have actually compromised the server from which the New York Stock Exchange was drawing their update. So there's one possibility. And then a third possibility is you had a direct attack on a router, and for that type of attack to have taken place, basically the attackers, they would have had to have gotten information from inside United Airlines. They would have had to uncover router passwords, hardware IDs for that router. So it would take a lot of work and a lot of people to do a coordinated attack, but it's not impossible. Possibility.
Here's a dot, and I'm going to make a connection here that I'm surprised the media didn't come up with. Let's go back in time to yesterday in the Washington Times. All right. Okay. The headline is FBI Director James Comey flags dangers of encryption services. This is yesterday. Yep. FBI Director James B. Comey will be arguing for a robust debate on message encryption technology to lawmakers Wednesday. Today.
There it is.
As he takes to Capitol Hill to plead his case that terrorist groups such as the Islamic State could take advantage of such technology to recruit Americans into their organization. The technology, commonly referred to as going dark, allows people to send messages to one another that cannot be traced by the government. Google has reported about 80% of its Gmail to other addresses in the last month were encrypted, and Apple has said it uses encryption on its iMessage and FaceTime tools, which is so secure that even the company can't read or decode the communications. Now, is this another coincidence where yesterday it's reported that the director of the FBI is going to Washington to talk about terrorist groups, and today United Airlines, the New York Stock Exchange goes down, and the Wall Street Journal goes down? Come on. Is it me, or is this evidence right in front of everybody's face, but nobody's connecting the dots?
You bring up a very good point, because, a terrorist organization, cyber vigilantes, a lot of people, even people who want to conduct black market operations online, they have a pretty heavy interest in making sure that we do have a secure encryption system, and the FBI definitely does not want that to happen. It is it's frightening on so many levels. There are even backdoors on Skype, so technically the government could spy in on any of our Skype conversations. So there's privacy and concerns about democratic communications on the other hand. But man, what a scary world we live in right now. We're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place right now.
One senator said, today's hearing is intended to start a conversation in the Senate about whether recent technological changes have upset the balance between public safety and privacy. And that's what you just said.
Yeah,
but when we're looking at, once again, Corey, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Yesterday, the Washington Times comes out with a story about the FBI meeting in Washington today. Around noontime Eastern, Wall Street Journal, United Airlines, and the New York Stock Exchange go down. Later on this afternoon, the FBI director was in front of a Senate Judiciary Committee. This is no coincidence. The way I see it is somebody was making a point that, hey, you can try to do what you want to do, but we can still pull the plug.
Yeah, absolutely. And the speed with which this is happening is also frightening. I don't remember exactly what year the movie The Terminator came out, but there were, even though we might have had the technology and the experimental programs there to build cybernetic soldiers, there were a lot of years before human cloning was really advanced, and advanced military-based cybernetics are just now really coming of age, rapidly developing. So there were several years between when that movie came out and when something happened. But just earlier this year, you had shows where hackers shut down major airline networks, and less than a year later, we actually see a major airline shut down. So it seems like the road between science fiction and reality is getting shorter too.
And then also there was the steepest market drop in decades in the Chinese stock market this morning.
Oh, yeah.
It was down by 6.8%. All this happening on the same day, Corey. Am I reading too much into this?
Well, hey, there's that, and take a look at what's going on in Greece right now, too. Yeah, we're looking at major financial crises going on, and if the headline, instead of it being about a router glitch or a software update, if the headline came out that suggested that the New York Stock Exchange was vulnerable to cyber attackers, that would only intensify the financial panic that's already going on right now.
Plus, here's another. Let's throw another another log on this fire, Corey. Microsoft has given up the battle with the iPhones, and they're laying off 7,800 employees.
That's right. Yeah,
Whoa.
As a Windows Phone user, I was surprised to hear that.
So I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right, my friend.
Oh, man. And actually, here's one more. I was going to bring this up later on, but the Apple Watch, I thought it was going to be a flop, maybe a one-season fad, and then the pre-orders started coming in. It looked like it was going to be big, and then the headline today, I had to read several pages deep to find this one, but as it turns out, the Apple Watch sales have dramatically declined. So maybe it is going to be a flop after all.
It would be interesting to know what operating system the New York Stock Exchange, United Airlines, and the Wall Street Journal use.
Yeah, it's and for cyber attackers, there is a very deliberate process that they use to uncover that information, and it would be interesting to see if there were similarities there.
Corey, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our commercial break at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, the one and only Corey K is our special guest. Corey K is our internet guru, computer guru, cybersecurity guru, and he can be found at xzonetechzone.com. 1-800-610-7035 worldwide toll-free is our toll-free number here. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you can listen to the X-Zone 724 365 at www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this short commercial break as we continue right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. Don't go away.
In the world today, most people want what is called the American dream. They want love, a family, a fancy car, and a nice home in a nice neighborhood. They also want a good job and money to travel to interesting places. Life is great because they have the American dream. But what happens to this dream if they hear they have a devastating illness like lung cancer? The doctor may tell them they need treatment immediately or they will be dead in 6 months. He tells them you need surgery and then you need chemotherapy to get better. When they get home, they think of many unanswered questions. They ask themselves, will I survive when so many of my friends with cancer have died? How will I deal with the pain, hair loss, nausea and vomiting, sore mouth and other side effects of chemotherapy and pain of surgery? Will I be able to keep on working? What will happen to my family? Then they look at the internet and wonder, is there a better way to deal with lung cancer and return to my American dream? Carl Helvey can tell you yes, there is a better way. Carl Helvey is a registered nurse with a doctorate in public health and a 38-year lung cancer survivor. Carl was given 6 months to live when diagnosed, and he refused chemotherapy and surgery. Carl used alternative interventions. Those not only helped him overcome lung cancer, but also to remain cancer-free and healthy for over the past 36 years since recovery. In his book, You Can Beat Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions, Dr. Helvey will tell you his story of using all-natural treatments for lung cancer and continuing to work during his treatment. Free of pain and discomfort, Carl will also share how he remained cancer and disease-free since then without chronic illnesses or prescribed medications. His story is supplemented with chapters by Dr. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Francesco Contreras, and Dr. James Forsyth, alternative integrative physicians, and Dr. Kim Dalzell and Tanya Harder-Pierce, health professionals. All have successfully helped others overcome cancer. Research presented by the alternative physicians on their treatments for lung cancer demonstrate a significantly higher long-term survival rate for lung cancer clients than those obtained by conventional doctors. In addition, their clients were free of or had reduced side effects. You Can Beat Lung Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions by Dr. Carl Helvey is now available at all major book outlets and at www.beatlungcancer.net. That's www.beatlungcancer.net. beatlungcancer.net. This information may help you return to the American dream.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, this is Ken Elliott. When I'm floating around the universe, I always try to tune in to Rob McConnell.
Hey, ho there, Twinkie Frog on Sesame Street. When I want to find out what's going on with UFOs or ghosts, I listen to the X Zone with Rob McConnell.
This is Les Corrigan from Target Internet Development. You're listening to Rob McConnell on the X Zone Radio Show.
This is John Hogue, Prophecy Scholar, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. The one and only Corey K is my special guest this hour. We're talking about coincidences. No. I don't buy that. I don't buy that yesterday the Washington Times reports, as well as other news agencies report, that the director of the FBI is going to Capitol Hill and going to talk to the Senate Judiciary Committee about encryption. Today, around noontime Eastern, United Airlines goes down. Their computer goes down, which grounds the entire fleet. People are, oh my gosh, flights are canceled, flights are delayed, everything is grounded, people can't make connecting flights. It is chaos. And then the New York Stock Exchange computers go down. And then the Wall Street Journal computer goes down. And then, later on in the afternoon, the director of the FBI is on Capitol Hill talking to the Senate Judiciary Committee about, guess what? Encryption, terrorism, computers. In my opinion, this is no coincidence. With all the computer hacks that have been going on in the last, let's just take 6 months, for this to happen on the day the FBI director is going to Capitol Hill, or going to the Capitol, I should say, to talk to the Senate Judiciary Committee. I just find this too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. Corey, have you given this any thought over the last couple of minutes during the commercial break?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's absolutely something that's been in the back of my mind, and there were actually some big tech headlines today, tech security headlines. Basically, Apple and Microsoft have been trading security experts. Groups that normally hack others are themselves getting hacked. We have all-out cyber warfare going on, and more and more people that I know are enrolling in classes about cyber warfare because it's sort of one of the battlegrounds of the future. Definitely not the whole enchilada. There is plenty going on in the ground, but it seems like we have a battle going on, on all fronts.
In cyberspace. All right, let me be the. Let's just say this was a coincidence. Okay, I don't believe it was, but let's say it was. Let's say there was nothing nefarious behind this. That this was just a technical glitch that happened to 3 of the major systems in the United States at the same time. I find it funny that none of these glitches happened anywhere else in the world. But that's just me being a little cynical. How could this have been prevented? Isn't there a security department within each of these cyber headquarters? Let's say of the Wall Street Journal, oh my gosh, New York Stock Exchange and United Airlines, where they have their servers where this data is being routed. Isn't there a security protocol that is maintained to watch for these kind of things that are going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes it so bizarre, especially with United. They they know that they've been hit before, they've had an outage before, and there's absolutely the technology in place to prevent it. Maybe 2 routers isn't enough. Maybe you need 3 routers. Maybe you need 4. Whatever you have to do to build in that redundancy. So if one router goes down, you can stay up and running, especially in an area that's so important as flight security. You'd think that would be in place, but we're seeing over the last year or two, we're seeing the same companies getting hit over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that makes me think that there's something inside these companies that is preventing them from making those security upgrades to prevent these attacks. Or you have somebody in the inside aiding and abetting them. So both possibilities are there.
You've told us before, Corey, that a lot of the way that the hackers get into systems is by attaching something to a program that then is then downloaded into a computer or a system. Is it possible that this is what happened? The hackers actually were able to attach a file that would allow them to access to the Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, hackers are spending an inordinate amount of time right now developing exploits for Adobe Flash and Java because they're on almost every system, and they're on Microsoft Windows, they're on Macintoshes, they're on Linux systems. If you can exploit Flash and Java-based programs, then you can exploit any computer. So that really is why it's the preferred target. So I know for a lot of years, people used to say that Macs and Linux, they were virtually virus-proof.
Yes.
Well, the mechanism by which the computers are attacked, it's very different between Microsoft Windows and Linux and Unix-like systems. Microsoft has something called the registry that's vulnerable to attack. Everything's interconnected, so attack in one area can affect all. Whereas newer Macs and Linux systems, they use what's called the sandbox or something like that to isolate the attacks. But if you have Java or Flash, you are leaving yourself open. And I find it interesting that Google Chrome browser right now, it won't let you run Java applets by default. In fact, you have to go out of your way to enable them. It's something beyond what the normal user is going to be willing to do. So more and more browsers are trying to disallow Flash and Java extensions. But it's kind of interesting. Some people may have a need for Flash or Java. They want to watch video on a particular site. They want to play particular games. So they go out looking for a browser extension that's not even built by Adobe or not even built by Oracle. And those browser extensions are actually made by hackers so that they can spread this bad code. So I see a lot of that happening to home users, and it's one way where credit card information and bank information is getting stolen from home users.
I remember having a guest on, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and I asked them, they were a computer security expert, and I asked them, why do hackers go after the window-based, and basically leave Apple alone? Do you know what his answer was?
What?
Why would they go with Apple when there are not as many Apple computers out there that they could raise havoc with?
Yeah, and for a long time that was true, but what they have found is if you attack Java and Adobe, you don't have to limit yourself just to Windows systems. And I'll tell you where this gets scary, and this could explain in part the rise in cyber attacks that we've seen. Windows does have a corner on the home market, but supercomputers and the types of computers that United Airlines Wall Street Journal uses, they use Unix or Linux-based systems. And if you attack Flash and Java, you can gain access to these systems that are supposedly more secure. So if you attack Adobe and Java, you can attack anyone, and you can go after the supercomputers. You don't have to limit yourself to victimizing home users anymore. So
I wonder if Bill Gates ever dreamed that computer hacking would be such a pain in the butt.
It's hard to say. I know he must have opinions on this. It's kind of interesting. In the older hacking community in the 70s and 80s, Bill Gates was really demonized because he felt that all software should be paid for. You should always compensate the developers, and he was very opposed to free and pirated software of any kind. And we're talking going back into the 70s when he was really young. So I don't know. He's always been a controversial figure in the hacking community. I'm sure he's recognized the dangers, but I also think he was an optimist. I think he felt that we would be able to build up adequate defenses.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem so certain anymore.
Just imagine if instead of now this, I'm not looking at this very lightly, X-Zone Nation, but instead of the United Airlines going down, instead of the New York Stock Exchange going down, which in itself was one scary time, and the Wall Street Journal, imagine if it would have been a major power company whose computer went down, or air traffic control computers that went down, or an emergency 911 system that went down. You're talking chaos.
Oh, yeah. And something that is starting to come out just in the last couple of weeks, these new driverless cars, it seems pretty exciting, but more and more security researchers are finding out that the security mechanisms on these cars can be circumvented. And just imagine having your car taken over by a cyber attacker is really scary.
Well, they've already established that cyber attackers can actually commandeer a plane's computer.
Yeah.
So here you are, 40, 50,000 feet in the air, going 500-600 miles an hour, and a guy in the aircraft who has the ability can actually use his laptop to overtake the computer in the plane.
Yeah.
It's like, hello? What? It's like, man, we're going to hell in a handbasket here. Have we put too much faith in computers?
It is possible. I'm not going to say computers per se, but I'm going to say that maybe we're starting to realize that it's not such a great idea to attach a network to everything.
Yeah.
These network-connected refrigerators, coffee makers, air conditioning systems that they're coming out with now, they seem really interesting, but for me, I have to question, is the benefit that I get from these devices, is it worth the risk? And there have been plenty of times. I know people are going to call me a Luddite for saying things like this, but as many beneficial products as have come out in my lifetime, I'm really starting to fear the new stuff that's coming out.
Do you remember Pastor Harry?
I think so. Remind me again.
He used to come on the show, and he would talk about. He's the guy who said that Santa Claus was Satan. And,
yeah.
But he did come on the show one time, and he was talking to us, Corey, about the mark of the beast is not 666. It's www.
Yeah, that he did say that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and when we look at how much faith we put into computers and how many people computers are putting out of jobs, like in the banking industry alone, the automated tellers, bang, the postal carriers. We are losing in Canada door-to-door delivery because people are using their computers and paying their bills online, and we're turning into a paperless society. That Canada Post is saying, all right, we're going to put mail pickup boxes at a certain point in your neighborhood. Everybody walks there and gets their mail now.
Yeah, and actually at my workplace, we are not allowed to have paper anymore. Yeah. We're not allowed to have pens. They got rid of our trash cans, so we can't throw away documents that can later be retrieved. They put out shredders, so if we have paper items, we can put them through shredders. But this security thing, it's being taken very seriously. But the problem is it's a great inconvenience to the majority of us, and the dedicated criminal who has a target in mind, he is going to be able to circumvent all of that. We've narrowed ourselves down to one entrance and one exit to the building, and I still, on occasion, even though it's being monitored, I still see people get through here and there. So there's a lot of emphasis on security. There's a lot of training courses that employees have to go through, but I don't feel safer. Let me put it that way. I feel less safe.
I've also had a guest on, Corey. I don't know if you listened to him, where they're talking about the 2045 initiative, and that's where science is going to try and take the consciousness from a person and put it into a computer. Yeah. In the past, Timothy Leary, he actually deliberately wanted to do that. He wanted to achieve immortality by injecting his consciousness into a computer, and he even had a few attempts at making software himself. And if it is available online, the software, it's very primitive compared to what we have now, but it's interesting that some people deliberately wanted that, but I don't think everybody shares the same vision there. I don't. I think that we're going way too far, where we're trying to put our consciousness into a computer, where we want to turn ourselves into a machine just for the sake of eternal life. Like, what is wrong with humanity? Oh yeah, and look at the glamour magazines that I see in the newsstands. I see collagen lips and all kinds of plastic surgery, and people are actually rushing out to make themselves into these plastic people, and it's a mess. I think we're headed in the wrong direction. As a guest earlier today pointed out to me, we had Douglas James Cottrell on earlier in the first hour, and he was basically saying that the Mother Earth is getting ready to give us another rude awakening. That, what happens to your body when you get an infection? The body turns up the heat in order to try and destroy the infection. Or if you've got something on your skin, you try to wipe it off when it irritates you. Can you imagine what we're doing to this planet? We're sucking all the oil out of it, which is the hydraulic fluid for the planet. It's starting to warble. We're losing, the climate. My Lord, we're just destroying ourselves, and then we want to put our trust in computers? No. Like, computers are a necessity in business today, in home life. Everything has a microchip in it. Yeah. But when you want to put your consciousness in a computer because you want to live forever, no, I'm sorry. Maybe Columbus in the
the Spanish explorers. Maybe they were looking in the wrong place for the Fountain of Youth. Maybe the Fountain of Youth is this electronic thing.
Yeah, the Fountain of Youth is in Silicon Valley, California.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So what else is new in the world of high-tech, Corey?
Well, the Windows 10 launch date is coming ever closer, and Microsoft is teasing us with interesting things. There's going to be a Minecraft version that's specific to Windows 10. The only lingering question mark as we're getting closer to the launch date is people are very skeptical about their offer of free. Free is just not something that Microsoft does. It's different than what they've tried in the past. And as we get closer to the date, they keep putting more and more asterisks on who is going to get a free copy. I'm still confident that if you get the pop-up to reserve your copy, that you are going to get it. But they made a statement this week that said not everybody is going to get the update right on July 29th. They're going to let the Windows insiders update first and then roll it out to the rest of us. So, and they haven't given us firm timelines, so it might be a week or it might be a month. We don't know how long we're really going to have to wait after July 29th to get that free update.
Are you looking at having a lot of headaches with people who are going to be calling you and contacting you about problems they're having with the new Windows?
There's two sides of it. I actually think we're going to have less people have problems than they had with Windows 8, so that's the good side. But I think more people are going to jump out and buy Windows 10. I think it's temporarily going to boost the PC industry, and sales are going to go up, all of that good stuff. And because of the high number of people that I think are going to adopt Windows 10, I think we are going to get more calls in that sense than we did from Windows 8, which was a bust. I was always surprised that we didn't get more calls than we did. We did a lot of training for Windows 8. I played with it every day so I could keep up with the customer. But the number one question I got with Windows 8 is, how do I get it off of my computer?
You know what? I can understand that, because I remember when we got our new computers here, it just bamboozled me. And if it wasn't for you, Corey, I think I would have pulled every hair out of my head.
Oh, man. Yeah. For that, if you still have that Windows 8 computer, I would definitely upgrade immediately after that launch date.
Yeah, I fully intend to. I really intend to. Because, it's always a pain. Some software that you've bought specifically for the Windows 8 won't work. I know this. There's going to be glitches. It's a pain. And for the computer industry to do this, I think they should be taken it out back and shot.
Yeah, it was a gross miscalculation, and it's going to take another year or two for them to update the list, but they have this great list of tech failures, and Windows Vista was high up there, but Windows Vista was a dream compared to Windows 8.
Oh, yes. Isn't that the truth? So we have Windows 10 coming out. What about the plasma... Is it plasma or quantum computers that you were talking about? Quantum computers.
Oh, yeah. The headlines have slowed down a bit. There are major universities and their research labs that are continuing to develop that. And in the short term, the encryption on those is going to be so good that if they don't work out a deal with the FBI, the NSA, to deliberately put some sort of backdoor on there using an encryption scheme we've never even heard of.
Right.
That is going to be unbreakable in the short term, but we will see how long it takes for somebody to circumvent that. Even we'll see.
I thought of you this morning when I was watching Brianna Keeler's interview in part with Hillary Clinton, because I remember when Hillary was running for president last time, you and I used to talk about it quite a bit during the breaks and off air. She put her foot in her mouth today. She put her foot right in her mouth when she said that she had never received a subpoena to produce, emails to CNN. So what CNN did, they went to the Capitol and they spoke to the senator who was in charge of the investigation into Benghazi, and they produced CNN with a copy of the subpoena that Hillary Clinton was served.
Yeah. I just knew on the face of it that that wasn't true, and that the subpoena did exist. So it was strange of her to say that.
As an American, and as someone who lives in the land of Bush, do you think she's got a chance? Do you think that Hillary Clinton might be the next president of the United States?
Yeah, I think she has a chance. Her competitors from her own party are relatively unknown. She has enough popularity that I think people will probably, enough people will vote for her that she'll get her own party's nomination. And I don't know if she'll actually win the presidency.
But she should take her party's nomination. I would love to see Donald Trump as president of the United States.
Oh, I don't think so. I just don't see it. It's celebrities have been elected before.
Hey,
so
Reagan did a pretty good job.
I don't know. We need job creation. We don't need the guy who says I'm fired.
No, but can you just imagine this? People who don't do their job in the Capitol, they'd be afraid of him.
Oh, yeah.
So could work either way. Anyway, Corey, thanks so much for coming on tonight on such short notice, my friend. I sincerely appreciate it. And X-Zone Nation, if you have any questions, visit www.xzonetechzone.com. Corey, until the next time, my best to Chance, the missus, and all the little four-legged helpers you have.
Thank you, Rob. I'll see you later.
Take care, my good friend. X-Zone Nation, that was Corey K. Well, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. So until tomorrow night, take care of each other. And as I always say, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. From everyone here at the X-Zone Radio and TV show and the Starcom Radio Network, I am Rob McConnell, and we'll be back tomorrow night.